Element 3B at the distinguished level. At this level and at all the levels, this element is the centerpiece of the framework for teaching. It is the hub. All of the other elements feed into this one. It is not just a question of being busy or on task, but intellectually active. Intellectually active. That is the key of what we look for in a distinguished level classroom. We're developing understanding through what they do. The children are developing understanding through what they do. Think about that. Some of the things that you'll see are discussing, debating, answering what if, discovering patterns, etc. These are high-level cognitive things that you will always see in a distinguished level classroom. There are huge, high levels of choice, lots of choice in a distinguished level classroom. And we look at, as evaluators, we look at what the students are being asked to do. And it is not just a question of what the teacher is saying, but it is watching the kids, what the kids are doing, not necessarily what the teacher is saying. And we look at the elements of this, and they are activities and assignments are at a high level with a distinguished level teacher. Grouping is with purpose and not just haphazard. The instructional materials are appropriate and they are exactly what the child needs, and they are ready to go. The structure and pacing is spot on in a distinguished level classroom. It's not too long, not too short. The structure lends itself to high levels of intellectual learning. Is the hub, the centerpiece of the framework for teaching. All the other elements feed off of this one. At this level, the proficient level, the kids, we look to see, are the kids just busy or on task, or are they intellectually active? At the proficient level, this is what you would expect of a teacher that's been in the profession for some time. That the kids are not just busy or on task, but they are intellectually engaged. Developing understanding through what they do. The proficient teacher knows how to do this, how to develop understanding through what the children are doing. And there are such things going on in the classroom, such as discussing, debating, answering, what if, discovering patterns. There are high levels of choice. There is a difference. There are higher levels of choice in a distinguished classroom, but the proficient level, there are lots of levels of choice. What we look for is, what are the students being asked to do? And does it lend itself to higher levels of learning? We look to see, what are the kids doing, not what the teacher is saying. The kids will tell us what is going on and why by what they are doing. Elements of this element are activities and assignments. They are at the proficient level. There is a purpose. There are high levels of engagement. The grouping of students is with a purpose and not just haphazard. There are intentional instructional materials and resources that fit the activity that they are doing, and the structure and pacing is what you would expect of a teacher that has taught for several years. This is the hub of the wheel of all of the elements in the teaching model. Engaging students. It is the centerpiece. It's not just looking for kids being busy or on task, but intellectually active. The basic level teacher is learning these skills and developing them, and they are a little sketchy. They're not as smooth as a proficient teacher. They are not as polished as a distinguished level teacher. Again, developing understanding through what they do in a basic level classroom. Let's do this means let's get the assignment done and let's move on to the next thing. They just haven't learned how to be smooth or polished yet. Discussing, debating, answering what if, discovering patterns, somewhat. But again, it's rough at this level because they are developing those skills. High levels of choice, there's some choice. There are higher levels of choice in proficient, and even higher levels at the distinguished level. We look to see as evaluators, what are the students being asked to do? And does it lend itself to higher levels of thinking? And the key is watching what the kids are doing, not what the teacher is saying. Think about that, because that is a key element of this whole thing. What we look for are activities and assignments. They're a little rough at the basic level, but they're coming along. The grouping of students can be a little haphazard. It's just not as smooth. This is the proficient level at the distinguished, and the instructional materials and resources do not always fit the activities. They are coming along. There's room to grow. The structure and pacing can often be either too short or too long. It's just not right on the money like it should be at the proficient or the distinguished levels. Engaging students in learning is the centerpiece of the framework for teaching. So think about that. It's the center of the wheel. It doesn't have any strength without that hub. What we are looking for is that the students are not just busy or on task, but intellectually active. At the unsatisfactory level, they are not intellectually active. They are just maybe busy and maybe on task, but they are not intellectually active. Let's do this. There's not a lot of encouragement. There's not a lot of developing understanding through what they do. It's obvious that it is a train wreck in process and that additional skills need to be learned. There's not much discussing, debating, answering what if, lower level questions only at this level. As far as high levels of choice, very little choice, and the kids languish. They just languish. They look forward to going home. What are the students being asked to do? That's what we look for. And so is it smooth? Is it coming along? The key is watching what the kids are doing, not what the teacher is saying. The kids in an unsatisfactory classroom are dying intellectually. It's not a pretty sight. The elements, activities and assignments are routine, they're cursory, they're lower level activities, not much engagement, not digging deeper. Grouping of students can be haphazard. A lot of times they are inappropriate and do not lend themselves to higher levels of learning. Instructional materials and resources are not readily available. They are inappropriate to the activity. The structure and pacing of the lesson is either too long or too short, or just inappropriate. The pacing is not what it should be at this level. So if you need help with this skill, this element, or any others, give us a call or talk to your building principal. We'd love to help you. I am Scott Shirley from Madison School District. Bye now.